education. And that now they say, that it's proven. Even if a woman doesn't, go into a formal workplace, having an educated mother helps her family's economic status. Even if she's not, a breadwinner, just the fact that she is educated and knows how to manage her family through her education is something that's extremely important. And I think that, if we look at women in London, I always feel a responsibility, even though I never, kind of after the age of 6, I didn't live in the Middle East, but that I have that responsibility when I go to Libya and I see these girls, come up to me and talk to me, and they're so excited that, I can, be sitting at a table and holding my own, with their fathers or their brothers. And I think that, the men sometimes get quite upset about it, but as a woman you just have to make that effort because you don't know who you're influencing. Would you say that with your experience, you kind of cross boundaries? When you go back to Iran, do people see you now as Persian, or do they see you as somebody who's, that westernized Iranian lady?
I have to say that I salute Persian women, and I think if anything great is going to happen in that country, it's by women. Sorry, gentlemen here. The Persian women are very strong, and I am not seeing anything special at all. But I think the whole issue of women, giving confidence to women, should come and done in a very strategic way. It's fantastic, as you say, Alia, you go to Libya and younger women, they look at you and admire you the way you are talking to their fathers and holding your own. So it is just fabulous, and we should promote that. And but there are, and I know everybody is in this room is a feminist is going to jump at me right now. I think we're different. Men and women are not the same, and we are seeing that in the 21st century, even in the companies, in the city where there's a special program, it's not like the art world, they are really mentoring women to go to high career at the start of, for example, of a UBS, Goldman Sachs, whatever you take. There are more women probably applying than men in those positions, but as time goes by, the fact that you have children, responsibility to bring your children after it's a hugely biological question. It just makes women to shy off of very important position, and I know that, believe me, by fact. And looking at me, how old I am too. So basically you have to realize that there is some biological difference that we never can get up. Women, thankfully, are extremely resourceful, but there are barriers, and we cannot take them totally away, and we have to work with what we have. There is injustice, yes, you are right, but we are so superior.
You were talking about this idea of being a mother, which Ziva just said. I mean, I don't have children, and so I can't imagine how my life would change with that responsibility. I mean, did you feel that was something very important to you to kind of value those roles of who you are? I mean, going to school and then working, and your various roles, which oftentimes people don't necessarily acknowledge. I think oftentimes when we talk to women, they don't want to say that their life is going to change because of their child, that they can do everything the same, which I just don't think is realistic or feasible.
Well, I think I was very fortunate to have a very young mother. And in a way, my mother was very happy to have children in her house, being so young. But it was my daughters who resented in a way that I was not there all the time. I came to the conclusion, and I always told them, that I could only be better if I was happy. And that the art world was the world I wanted to be part of. Today, they're all grown up. They all love art. One has a doctorate in history of art. The other one is, the other two are art designers, and one of them. So I think what's important is what you feel and to be true to yourself. And more than time is quality time, both as a mother, grandmother, wife. That's what I can say about my own experience. I even tell my daughters that my experience is not theirs, and life has changed. And I'm not the mother that my mother was. So I cannot be as good a grandmother as my mother was. But I think that it is very difficult to be a mother and to work full time because you're torn inside. But I think at the end,
It's beneficial to
yes,
everything.
I think they're all professionals and they all understand now.
Well, I think growing up with art and growing up with an appreciation of art is definitely something that sets you on that track. I mean, Tori, your experience was very much by your father, by growing up with somebody who was an artist himself and who instilled in you that kind of desire to.
Yes, I have to say that, let's be true. I mean, my love to art comes from him, but he never encouraged us to go into that field, saying that it was really, really hard to make a career out of it, that he wanted, his daughters to be independent women and work and have a career and be able to support themselves. So for him, it was very difficult, to attach that possibility to art because he, even though very recognized today, had a long career path to be where he was with a lot of uncertainties. And I think when you're a father or a mother, this is not what you wish for your kids. However, from coming, as you said, our part of the world, coming from a Muslim family living in Morocco, I think my father was the one pushing us to, get out there, study, work, be independent and not rely on a man, do our choice first, whatever will make us happy, and then, obviously he wants us to have a family, but what I'm saying is like for him it was more important that we're not dependent on somebody else. Yeah.
I mean, I think that, that kind of brings it up to a really nice close that, each one of us has forged our path and, kind of overcome barriers and uncertainties, but, celebrated the idea of being a woman in the arts and promoting art from our countries and our cultures in a global context. So if there are any questions from the audience, I think, we'd be happy for maybe one or two questions.
I don't think it's so much a question. I keep looking at the title of this tertulia, this conversation, and what's really interesting, coming from a family of a lot of women, so before football I had to learn the mambo in the house. It's interesting how the address of border has changed differently from a man's issue into women taking art across these borders, but essentially what you're also addressing is the border of genders. Okay, and so more than even in a male moment here, I'm hearing stuff about motherhood, I'm hearing all this stuff about the biology of women and the differences in women. Right? Now, the other thing I wanted to address maybe was the curiosity that brought me here is the issue of Muslims and the idea of image. And because I've been dealing with the film world as well, I'm also on the show here. And I'm trying to look into, because I know in Latin America, for example, where there's a big Muslim culture. Right, so I'm trying to figure out, there's an interest in my end as to why I want to go to Dubai. I've been invited stacks of times, why I want to go to the Middle East, So I'm really personally addressing myself as an artist as to why I should go there. And I think part of that question is, I think I have something to learn about the Muslims in my present geography before I even do that for some reason. So this thing about, tourism and the culture of tourism and art, and that women, I mean, maybe this is the question, how would women what's the difference between what men do in that situation and you as women, I mean, this taking out across borders. Different would it be from men?
how different it will be for men. I mean, that's a tough question for a woman to answer, but I think that, first of all, I guess as Ziba said, I mean, I agree with her with the difference between a man and a woman. So I think that if you raise as becoming a man, you're raised in a different way that you raise women in general, not because there's a difference, but there's a difference in its strength. So I guess when you were young and you wanted to take your backpack and go travel, I don't think your mom would have stopped you, you know, well, as a, no, but as a woman, you know, I would have had much more trouble in Morocco to travel on my own and being allowed by my parents to do it. So crossing the borders would have been probably harder than for a man. I think from an art perspective, I think I think in a way, because the way we see it in general is that men have to provide to their family. So I think if he decides to make the choice of become an artist and, you know, going into a path of uncertainty and risking it, you know, trying to succeed, that's his choice. And I'm pretty sure that an artist, before he becomes established or he has, you know, a sense of stability, he might not build or feel right to build his family. You know, he will go on his own trying to do his career first. And this is maybe like completely absurd what I'm saying, but like knowing, and no, that's what I'm saying. You first do what, and I think I don't know if it's something that is passed on through education, but this I had often that discussion that usually men, before even thinking of, you know, getting in a stable relationship, they have to feel secure about providing for that relationship. And build a family, and I do believe that, you know, it might be easier in a way for a woman if she has her family, you know, and her husband, and like some kind of stability around her to maybe pursue.
Like you're taken care of.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, maybe that's where it's coming from. I don't know. So
I think that even besides that, I think presenting yourself, you know, when I sit at a meeting or when I, you know, meet someone, I'm aware that I am a woman and I was a girl, and I'm aware of that idea of my feminine self. And I'm not sure if that's the same for a man, but I think very much when I'm sitting at a dinner, I very much realize that I am a single woman, and if I'm sitting next to a married man and his wife is somewhere at the table, I'm very aware that there are boundaries and that I want to be friendly, I want to be a polite dinner partner, but I don't want to be in any way misconstrued as being that woman or that, you know, that girl at the table. That's a very small thing, but it's something I think about. It's something that I've thought about in my life. Yes. Definitely. Because you want to be, for me, I want to be respected and I want to be considered a dignified, you know, person. So that you know, goes into so many interactions, you know. I don't know, it's something that I think about.
Well, yes, for example, like I said, I got married very young. And one of my main purposes was to finish the university. And being married, I made a point about being married. I didn't want to, but more worried than losing the marriage status was worried losing the studying status. So I made a very clear point that for me, finishing university was very important. So I don't know if that answers in a way the question, but this goes, I mean, but the other way around, in Latin America, it makes no difference if you're a man or woman traveling, which it does in the Middle East. You know, I know my daughter traveled once to Marruecos. Marruecos is she had a friend, and I don't know if that's normal, but that's the case. She was locked in the apartment. She couldn't go out by herself. You know, women don't go out by themselves. I have never been in Morocco, so I don't know. But for her, it was like shocking not to be able to go by herself in the street. Of course, she didn't know Morocco, but I'm saying those limitations are not true in Latin America. I mean, men and women have the same freedom of traveling, the same, even though there is a lot of mistreating of women all over the world. I mean, this is no matter, especially in certain cultural levels of each country. But there's free traveling. Women can go out by themselves in the street. Women can get together and go to a bar, and almost
Prejudice comes in a different format.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just about being aware of what your goals are, or how you want to present yourself. I think that sometimes that is more apparent. When I think there was one more question in the back.
Hi, thank you. I wanted to go back to the first subject you were talking about, like international platforms for Latin American art or African American art. I'm interested in what do you think is the impact, especially for Cecilia. I'm also Colombian, so I wonder which is the impact of Latin America in international art fairs like Pinta. Which is the impact in Colombia, in art structures in Colombia and the audience. That I don't know if that can be linked to the woman as well. But
How it's developed, you mean, or how?
no, how does the awareness of Latin American art in international art fairs like this one it affects the structures of the market in Colombia?
Well, like I said before, or I don't know if I said it, but I have been traveling to a lot of art fairs. And the first fair I was ever invited was Arco, 33 years ago. And I saw how Arco developed through the years. Now, going back to the question, I have Bogota Art Fair, this is the 10th year, and I have seen how it has not only developed collecting in Colombia, but how it has helped international traveling to Bogota, help both Colombian and Latin American art. So I am a strong believer of art fairs. I think art fairs are a very privileged situation for everybody, artists, galleries, collectors. I always feel like we are trapped for a couple of days and we get to know each other better. And if we had to do the same thing, it would take probably years. It creates a kind of special friendship that you are here together.
It's like being at summer camp together.
Yes, and especially with certain galleries that we meet in different art fairs. Sometimes I don't even remember where I met them, but I know I've met them, because we become like this kind of nomad society. But it does create bonds with artists, bonds. So I don't know if that answers the way your question.
Yes, exactly. It really impacts the structures of the internal market and the same situation in other countries.
I would say that I think in general, anything that brings awareness in the way that Pinta does, through media, and of course, in recent years through this proliferation of social media tools. I am sadly guilty, and I do not use any social media, but I do know the impact that it has. And anyway, I think we'll be here to answer a couple of questions with the audience after. Thank you very much. Thank you to my panelists. It was very interesting.